Mr. Barzani, he's the Chancellor of the Kurdistan Region Security Council. He's the son of the regional president, Mr.Barzani. Mr. Barzani, thanks very much for joining us. You're joining us from Erbil in northern Iraq. What can you tell us? Have you heard that the CIA is now providing the Peshmerga fighters directly with weapons?
Well, thanks for having me. Unfortunately, the help came a little too late. Now, there has been some shipments of supplies of mostly ammunition to the Peshmergas, but if there had been support, of military support to the Kurds, most of what we see happening now could have been prevented.
Because the Peshmerga are wonderful, very heroic fighters. I know you've been appealing to the United States and to other international powers for a long time. What was the reason they gave you why they wouldn't help you directly? I know they usually supposed to go through the central government in Baghdad, but we know that Nouri al-Maliki's regime there was no great friend of the Peshmerga or the Kurds. So what was the excuse that the U.S. gave you for delaying providing direct weaponry to your fighters in the midst of this horrible situation?
Well, no one wanted to really deal with the Kurdish forces directly, and everything had to go through Baghdad. And unfortunately, Baghdad was not very supportive of arming the Peshmergas at the time. And unfortunately, most of the arms that were given to the Iraqi military later on were left at the posts and were seized by the ISIS, which later on they used against our Peshmergas.
So when you say, Mr. Barzani, now it's too late, tell me what's the situation on the ground right now as far as the Kurds are concerned, the Yazidis, other minorities, Shiites. How strong is ISIS right now? What needs to be done to change that?
In terms of telling you it's too late, I mean, it could have been, what we see could have been prevented if the Peshmergas were well armed. Right now, Peshmergas are outgunned by the ISIS, and ISIS has in its possession most of the arms that were left at the posts in both Iraqi military divisions and brigades that left their posts, and also from Syria. So ISIS now really has armaments that are much stronger, much more powerful firepower than the Peshmergas. If the Peshmergas could have this weapon, they could have defeated ISIS before they could commit this act of genocide against the Yazidis and Muslims and Christians in Shingar and elsewhere in the country.
Because we know there are hundreds of thousands of minorities who are endangered right now. Do you really believe, Mr. Barzani, that the Christians, the Yazidis, and so many other minority groups, non-Muslims, even some Muslims, are in danger now of genocide?
Absolutely. What you see today is an act of genocide being unfolded in front of the world. And unfortunately, tens of thousands of people have fled to the Mount Shingar, and people on the mountain and around the mountain are still subject to great danger. Thanks to the United States and to the airdrop aid, there has been a corridor open to these people to escape to safety. Unfortunately, the process is slow. We also have deployed Peshmerga units. There were some Peshmerga units left with the people already that prevented ISIS from advancing into the mountains to commit massacres in that area. But at this time, there is an ongoing process of rescuing these people on the mountain, and so far thousands of families have been rescued.
One final question, Mr. Barzani, before I let you go. Tell us what you want President Obama to do right now to help this situation.
Well, we are thankful, we are all grateful to the brave decision that President Obama made in terms of supporting the Peshmergas with the airstrike. We hope that these airstrikes will continue, and the cycle of the strikes against the ISIS targets will be expanded to the areas where the bases of ISIS are located, and not necessarily only at the line of battle between ISIS and the Peshmergas. So we hope that the area of operation is going to be expanded, and this will be an ongoing process.
And what kind of weapons do you want from the United States?
Well, weapons that are effective against all disarmed vehicles that have been seized by the ISIS. They by far have an upper hand, and they are outgunning the Peshmergas. So any effective weapon that can defeat the enemy would be appreciated and needed for the Peshmergas.
And one final question. Any help you're getting, substantive help from the central Iraqi military, the central government in Baghdad yet? We saw one helicopter, an Iraqi military helicopter, Ivan Watson, was on board with Peshmerga fighters. That seemed to be a little bit encouraging to me, that there was at least some cooperation between the Iraqi military and the Peshmerga, the Kurdish fighters. What's the latest on that front?
Yes, there is cooperation, but unfortunately the capabilities of the Iraqi army are limited. There are a few helicopters that are here to help, with the refugees in the mountain, to bring aid to them, and also in the battle to help the Peshmergas in several areas. But unfortunately the level of cooperation or the ability of the Iraqi military is limited. We hope that this will also continue and will expand.
Masrour Barzani is the Director of Security and Intelligence for the Kurdistan Regional Government. Mr. Barzani, thank you so much for joining us. We will stay in very close touch with you. Good luck to all the people of Kurdistan. Good luck to all the people in northern Iraq right now. So many of the Christians, the Yazidis, the Kurds, other groups in northern Iraq, they face potentially, according to this Kurdish official, genocide at the hands of these ISIS terrorists. The breaking news will continue right here on CNN right after this.